Check, check, check. Test, test, test. Everybody okay? Talk. Check, 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 check. Camera test. Mic test, mic test. Everybody okay?
Thank you. Barbara, how are you? Hey, I'm good. It's got to be at least 65. How about you? The day side, right?
I'll leave you know.
Just watch your back. Shouldn't have that there. That's what I'm saying. I put it down. How do you relate to it? Sorry, that's it?
Where's Lennon? What's up? I'm just going to
See how firm the groceries are?
Looking for Sean? The white guy.
bored yet? No, not at all. Got a lot going on. I have everything. I'd rather get it then than tomorrow. Pretty good, all things considered. How about you? Healthy, wealthy, and wise, right?
He's wise.
I know. Beyond his years. What can I help you with?
We have a microphone too, so
We're off and running.
I'd like to go first.
Nope, okay. Not you. Doesn't matter, I'll start.
Hey, Buck. So much talk this offseason about the new rules and all the new things we're going to see this year. How much time have you spent trying to figure out what those rules will mean and how to maybe work them to the Mets' advantage? And what do you think of these new rules?
I think everybody's spending time on it because it's something new. You try to prepare your team for things that are coming their way. And there's a lot of unknown. Okay, anybody that says they got it all figured out and there's going to be something pop up that, is going to cast it in a different light. There's always people trying to circumvent some of this stuff. Not that we would be one about it. You just want to use it to your advantage as far as like the knowledge you should have of it. But I spent a lot of time with the minor league managers and coaches because they're the ones that have lived it. And this is a little different time frame, but it's who I feel for, the umpires a little bit. I was thinking something about all the umpires that retired, the crew chiefs. I'm wondering, I kid them at home plate about how long it takes to get dressed. All the stuff they wear and all the things they're responsible for. Now they've added that to their plate. So I feel for them, but as far as us preparing for it, I can go through, a lot of things that we've done and looked at. We've got a meeting today at 2 o'clock with to review them again with the league office. The league's doing a great job of being available to answer questions, and everybody's got some, but everybody's trying to get ahead of it. It's not just us. So, I wish they were using WBC, but I understand why they're not. It's just not fair to some of the other countries, so they're trying to have a level playing field. But that's why it's important that guys like Otto and Haley get some feel for it before they leave, because I'm hoping they're gone the complete time for America's success.
Do you have a feel yet on how these changes, whether it's the shift or the bases or whatever it is, how it will change baseball?
I can smugly sit here and say I do exactly, and I don't. I think there's a curiosity. I'm sure y'all have it too. Just I'm still trying to get my arms around the bags being. They do for somebody, and we as people in this room too. You've looked at bags your whole life, especially under my eyes. But you get used to them looking a certain way. I know the first day I walked out down here last week and saw the bags, right away they were different. But I don't know how much it's going to actually affect the game. I know we moved our sliding pit. I'm sure a lot of people don't realize we had a sliding pit. We moved it closer and actually designed it differently so that we could get used to the bags a little bit. I'm curious. I can't, somebody's going to get mad the first week. The umpires are going to be the bad guys, and then people figure out. I'm going to tell you how it's going to go, that they're not the bad guys. They're just enforcing the rules as they were told them to. And everybody has to settle into it at some point. Probably, it'd be like the NFL. They took the play clock and went from whatever it is. What is it now?
24.
24?
Oh, NFL?
Yeah.
40,
Whatever.
45.
And took it down 10 seconds. And there's always been a false one there. What's up, Luke?
Buck, watching Justin Verlander today was pretty impressive for a first day.
Was it? I don't.
Yeah, he threw a lot of pitches. just in general, what do you think of him in terms of his professionalism, and what do you feel he will add to this ball club?
Well, I can't sit here and I haven't gone through the season with Justin. You know, we've obviously talked some since he signed with us, and you know, he's got a solid reputation. So, you know, also through the years realized everybody's different. Thank goodness they are. It'd be pretty boring if they were all the same. Trying, just like all pitchers, regardless of their background and their success, you're trying to serve their needs and create an atmosphere that they can be as good as they could be. And you know, Jeremy, I'd like to think me to some extent have gotten our arms around that. And we've already had a couple of things that I know that he makes him more comfortable, that we're going to make sure that that we bring. So no, he understands it. He understands what's going on, the expectations, and you know, the mantle of what he carries.
Is there an urgency in your mind because Scherzer and Verlander are older to win now?
I don't think any more than was already there. You know, both those guys had to climb that mountain. You know, so no, I think. I don't think there could be more. And I don't think they heighten it because it was already there.
What are reasonable expectations for the 2023 Mets?
What are reasonable expectations? No, I think everybody shares. I think that's what's great about the spring, Tim, is that everybody's thinking best case scenario. Don't think that team that is in one of these plans, so to speak, which is always a red flag for me when you see somebody says they're on a plan. Even they, in their private moments, go, you know, this young player is going to come real fast. This injured player is going to be healthy. This everything's best case scenario. So everybody's thinking these things, and we're no different. You know, the beauty of all the things that go on things we talk about and moves that everybody makes or doesn't make or whatever, it all starts on an even level playing field, and nobody cares about any of that stuff between the lines. Trust me. It's, am I better than you, and are you better than me, and let's see where we are at the end of the year, and let's get a chance to roll the dice in October. Everybody's looking for that opportunity. So expectations are always high in major league camps, the 30 camps in the world, but certainly there's different ways you look at it from different perspectives. You know, off-season, track record, what's going on. So it all paints a picture, and we're all in that picture.
But expectations are always high, but not every team has this sort of roster, this sort of payroll, this sort of foundation as far as last year's regular season. So are expectations here higher than, I don't know, other times?
In other teams or other times?
Other times? Other teams?
I hope so. I don't know. You'd have to refresh what were the expectations. I'm sure that there have been very similar conversations in here before.
Not like this. Not with a $360 million payroll. Not with a $360 million payroll.
That's something for people to lead paragraphs with. Okay. Nothing that we look at, trust me. And the players on the field don't pay attention to it. But if we, what was I saying before I had to, doesn't matter. It's not that important. What? You don't need a mic.
No, I did not see it. Do you feel that winning
Y'all fine for phone? Y'all do that anymore? Is that past? That's over? Y'all don't do that anymore? Okay.
this spam risk, should I answer it?
I don't know what the spam is. There's some good spam out there.
Hopefully this isn't a spam question. Do you feel that winning the division has to be a goal? I mean, in other words, last year, 101 games, you got in the playoffs. Is that good enough? Or
No, the goal, the number one, the goal coming out of spring training is to win the division. It was last year. and it was, and we tied for it last year, and then some tiebreaker didn't put us there. So, that's the goal. We just got through we kept standings all year last year in the advance room, and we've already got the 5 rosters in the team room. That's what we're competing against, 4 other teams initially. I'm trying to figure out a way to be better than them. It's going to be hard. They've done some really quality things this offseason.
So, and the other thing is, 101 wins sets the bar kind of high. Do you think that's realistic to?
I think we'll seek our level. I just want to feel confident we'll seek our level, whatever it may be. Is it, whatever the game and health, there's a lot of things that go into it, but I just want to feel confident we're going to be as good as we're capable of being. That's what we're trying to, precedent we're trying to set here. What it is, I'm as curious as you are to find out what it is. 100 games hard, and is our season a failure if we win 90? Whatever number you want to come up with. It's about the end game. And initially it's about trying to figure out a way to be better in 4 teams. I know we played 79 games in our division last year. Almost half our season was played in our division last year. I think we're playing 52 this year. Do the math, that's 27 less. Does that sound right? 27 less games? Wow. That's a lot of less games. Man, travel will be a little tougher. Got tired of playing the same people. I'm looking forward to the more balanced schedule. Someone called it a balanced schedule the other day. More balanced.
John?
Yeah, these gentlemen were asking me about the expectations. I want to ask you about the pressure.
I think that's really what he meant.
Well, I'm just
Same thing, same word. Just different way of phrasing
Is
it.
there pressure on you?
I hope so. No, I think everybody understands the job descriptions, whether it be a coach, a pitching coach, a manager, a hitting coach, a player. Why shouldn't we all share that same expectations? It was going to be there. Some of that's what you put on yourself. You know what you're responsible for. You know that what the team's supposed to deliver, and you take it personal. But it won't be any different than the expectations we had last year. But you don't ever, sneak up on somebody. They all know. Every team. There's no secrets in baseball, and that's why I love when people talk about the schedule. It may look like this is a hard part of the schedule, and by the time you get there, it's looked at completely different. Same way with the easier part of the schedule. There is no part of that. So, but it makes for stuff to start a paragraph with. This is a tough part from last year. Everything you base that on what's going on in the past. This is about now.
Andy?
Buck, Nimmo mentioned yesterday that some of the players have been talking about the idea of finishing after the way last season ended. At the beginning of the season, is that something you can emphasize?
Well, it was, first of all, it was emphasized last year, and especially towards the end of the year, but sometimes, other teams don't cooperate with you. You can want things properly, it's just sometimes you can't get there. It's frustrating, but, in order to have something to finish, you got to figure out a way to start it. So we're more interested in that part right now, hoping we have a chance to have something to finish. So it's about getting ready for starting the season in Miami and then heading to Milwaukee. Kind of like the idea we're going to play in 2 venues that we don't have to worry about the weather for 7 days. We are going to play 7 straight days. I wonder if anybody else is. I like that part of the schedule when I saw it. When we get home, we will play 7 days in a row, unless there's a break in the roof, something. Roofuses.
What do you hope guys take from the experience of last season, particularly the end?
I think, all of a sudden, thanks, we got to bring it up again. At some point, we got to, okay, we're done with we lost a 2 out of 3 series in the season, and it was over. It's It's heartless, it's cutting, it's ruthless, it's just, and like I told him after the season's over, it's not always fair. Life's not always fair, and baseball's certainly not always fair. But who's to say what happened wasn't fair? You know, San Diego deserves certain things too. So, yeah, last year I think people realized that how fleeting it can be. But they knew that anyway. It was a very mature bunch that didn't get caught up in their successes. And you know, I was looking yesterday with Jeremy the number of pitchers that were here last year and contributed that aren't here anymore. And then you got this column, and then you got this column that's come in. And you know, I think sometimes people spend so much time belaboring what we've tried to do and bring in, but they kind of lose sight of what we lost. It's gone. That was very instrumental. We had to replace it somehow. And you know, those guys went on to bigger and better things, and we wish them well. But we have a lot of people who were contributing last year that aren't here anymore.
Buck, you just made a joke about all these questions we're asking you about last year, but do you want your guys to remember last year?
Oh yeah, yeah, to a point, but not to be, you know, it's one of those things that you kind of, it's a silent, you don't talk about it. You know, it's one of those looks without saying anything. They know, and believe me, it's like who in here likes talking about unpleasant things? You know, nobody likes to. So it's one of those things you know about. Do we have to keep bringing it up? Is the way they would say to me. You know, so they get it. But so you can't. But you can't fast forward to September, like October, unless you can't do that. There's too many bridges to cross. You know, we won a lot of games last year we shouldn't have won on paper. We lost some. You know, it works both ways. So I'm as curious as the fans are to see which turn, some of the turns will be taken this year.
Where is Starling Marte physically?
So far, so good. You know, we haven't had any reason, anything that come to our attention that doesn't make us think he won't start the season. I know he's really perfect world would like to play for Dominican.
This early in the spring, everyone's still kind of getting settled in. What are your messages? What do you try and emphasize in these early days?
Try to slow down a little. All of us, we're all excited to see each other. I mean, let's face it, we picked our friends for them for 7 or 8 months, but these guys, they stay in touch and all. So it's a pretty close-knit group, and now you're trying to kind of blend some new bodies and new names. So you can't force those things. Just try to slow down, you know, understand where the end game is. You know, we're going to have some unique opportunity this spring with some of the younger players, with a lot of people leaving us. You know, we're not the only team losing players. There's a lot of teams, there's some teams losing more than we are. So, you know, I don't want to act like we're getting picked on. It's good for our game globally and nationally. So that's going to be a challenge. But our guys, I was hoping last year was the last time with the lockout we were going to have this in between the back end of coronavirus, and I hope it's back in. And now we have this that's kind of disruptive. But it just reminds you that it's a game where you have to adjust to a lot of things. You have to adjust. Something's good, curveball's going to get thrown to you. But WBC's, I'm trying to look at it in a positive light. We're going to be able to see a lot of people, a lot of innings and at bats and innings thrown that we normally wouldn't have.
Marte is not still on the table, is he, for WBC?
No. And Perez is not going. I think he may be on like their 50-something reserve, but he's not going.
See you got the bullpen removed. You already mentioned talking about the sliding pick closer. The bullpen's off the field.
Thank God. That was a safety factor more than anything. I mean, why somebody put him on the field to start with, I don't know. You'd have to ask Oakland.
But I mean, are you more comfortable, Buck? Does this team have more of your imprint now that you've already had?
No, that was everybody's decision. We all talked about it. Billy and I walking through the outfield the very first day we came down here last year. We both said we got to get those mounds off the field.
But just in general, now that you've had that year under your belt for it, I mean, are you better for it? Are you?
Oh, in the meeting we're having today, we're going over pitchers and catchers today. There's people in that meeting I actually know now. Yeah, it's great. And I think about Billy, reminds me all the time. I've been here 2 weeks longer than you have. So that part of it's more comfortable, just knowing how things work. I'm excited about I was looking at the plans for the new minor league building facility. That's something that, Steve and everybody's been adamant, a piece that we need to fix. That's the one last thing. St. Lucie, the city and county have been great, but we just need to take that other step with their, cooperation, which they've always given us. But Paul Tagliarue and the whole group here, what a job they've done I was looking, there's been like almost 20 improvements since we left here. Some things that people won't maybe notice, but there's been over 20 things they've done to upgrade. I'll see how many of them you get. See how many you can get of the 20. You already got one or two. Single?
I mean, he pitched like
Is that a Tampa Bay hat? What kind of hat you got on?
It's Fox.
Oh, it looks like one of those the old Devil Ray, didn't it? I'm sorry. What about Singa?
Singa has signed a couple of times already.
Yeah, I snuck one in around the corner. He wasn't supposed to see me, but Jeremy said he saw me. I was trying to kind of sneak in and watch about 10 throws. I try to stay out of those. When it's early reporting and they don't have to and it's voluntary, I'm not going to walk around and critique everything. There'll be plenty of time for that. I want them to feel comfortable, but no, so far so good. Got a big talent show coming up, hoping he participates. We do. We have got some really talented people other than baseball, I hope.
You've had a few heartless, ruthless Octobers after great regular seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Is the postseason a crapshoot, do you think?
I don't know about crapshoot. I think that's a word my mother never let me say. But I don't know. There's a lot of things that drive how the format's set up, John, as you well know. In a perfect world, every round would be 7 games, but they'd be played 7 days in a row. So you mimic the regular season, but we know why that can't happen. Most of it's got to do with money, TV, things that drive that have a hand in our sport. But it is what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It doesn't okay, we're going to change it, and everybody knows. We know right now how it's going to work in the postseason. I think they had to change it some last year, right? Right before the season, if I remember right, because of the late start. So this year we know. I mean, I'd like to see you play 5 days in a row, just like you do during the season. Then you get a true reflection of your team. So it's a different season in the postseason.
What do you think of your ball club?
What I think of them? I'm like everybody. Yeah, thank you. Well, we got some key parts of it are back. I thought signing Nimmo was. You think about life without something. That one I didn't have a real answer for. So that was good. They all were good. But we'll see. I wish I could sit here. I like the people. I know what I'm gonna like being around them. We got a good group of people again, I think. And how it meshes. You talk about Tommy Pham, who I think on the radar was a real good sign for us. That's a guy that has played a lot of games in big leagues. He's got a chance to fit us, but even a Quintana, kind of under the radar. Those are the ones that who ends up being, win some of our bullpen spots. Those are going to be as key as Verlander in a lot of ways. They really are. Those things in the baseball season matter. How do we replace Trevor Williams? The job he did. That's as good a job as. And we wish him well. He wants to start, and he wants to do it somewhere, and he's going to get a chance. Those type of jobs are what allow you to win not 85 but 95. It's kind of the fourth outfielder, the 11th and 12th relief pitcher, the long reliever, the spot starter, the what-if guys, the Gear Mays. So that's the ones that I'm bogging on this spring. You know, how are we going to be there? Because that's a little behind the scenes. What's really important in a game that you play 7 days a week for 7 or 8 months. Your what-ifs. I'm looking at them. It might be one of our minor league kids. You know, you might bring somebody over to throw an inter-squad game, and all of a sudden you go, who is that guy? You know, we're probably going to play inter-squad the last day before the games start, or maybe the day before, depending on what Jeremy's needs are. Just so you know, I just thought about that. It'll be the same time as the game.
When did you tell show? When is the talent show?
I'm not telling. We haven't set up for sure. Well, yes, we have. That's not true. Got a pretty good idea when it is.
You gonna do anything for it?
Of course not. You know why? Because I don't have to. I don't have any talents. We got a couple, man. I'm telling you, I'm excited about it. Got a couple people have been told they can't do anything.
Is that why?
They're bad. Really bad. It's nothing worse than guys really bad that thinks they're good.
Early scouting report on who you're looking forward to see.
Mm-hmm. There is, but I'm not giving it. I know I got a couple. We had, pardon?
Comedians in the group?
Of course, they think they are. We had McFarland. TJ's here. The tiebreaker one year was his talent. Years ago when he was a Rule 5 pick in Baltimore. I remember the coach, we were all sitting there and we're all kind of getting ready to kind of talk about the roster, and he's right on the cusp whether we're going to send him back to, who was it, Cleveland. And we watched him do his thing up there, and the guts it took and the confidence level and whatever. I said, good enough for me. He's on the club. Same way with Ryan Flaherty. You know, Ryan, he was a Rule 5 from the Cubs. He had 2 monkeys throwing batting practice to each other. It's the dangest thing you ever seen. I got pictures. That's it. Then the health department called me the next day. I didn't know you weren't supposed to have them in a closed room. And then the Humane Society got me. We didn't have any more monkeys. They were unbelievable. You ever seen those spider monkeys though, VP? No. Unbelievable. The things that they can do. Have you guys met our new nutritionalist yet? He's impressive. Of course, we lost Carson. That's a tough loss. You guys see the Super Bowl commercial?
What?
Pretty good. That's what it was, right? Super Bowl commercial.
Did they ask you to be in?
No, I wasn't there. It was back and forth. I'm glad I wasn't. What's wrong? It is a Super Bowl commercial, right? Did I get it wrong?
Yes. Yeah.
Did anybody see it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Our guys have a future.
What was McFarland's talent?
I'm not going to say anything because he might do it again.
Did it involve apes?
You do this in the clubhouse, or do you go out?
I'm not telling. See, I'm gonna get another call from the health department.
Who's going to start on opening day?
Pitcher? We're going to check that out down here. That's what we're here for. See what everybody is. Good try.
How do you decide? Last year, Max deferred to Gene.
Right.
How do you decide this year?
Tim, you don't think we haven't already approached that?
I know. I think
It's a good problem. It's not a problem. It's a good challenge to have. We might surprise you. It's kind of like, who was it? Somebody was saying that Jake's got some deep thing about why he didn't. That got blown out. Basically, Jake said, "Hey, we'll talk sometime. Just want to bring closure." Next thing I know, there was some secret story about why. That's not the case. That's not what he said to me. But somebody ran with that thing. That's not the case at all. So everybody can stop talking about that. Plus, I helped him with the neighborhood he's living in Dallas. He's got a nice area, good place. He's in a good place. I'm happy for him and his family.
In your experience, do guys say it personally if they're not made the opening day start?
I have had that be the case, but not lately. We'll see what this year brings. Sometimes those things solve themselves, but I have approached it, and I think it'll be handleable.
You got two guys, workhorses from the rotation, who are getting older, at WBC. How do you manage to make sure the workload of spring training? Do you come back or in the beginning of the season, do you let them just
We looked at it. If you looked at how we did it last year a lot with the off days and when guys got in long stretches where they were pitching every fifth day, we did a couple of things at least. But it's about getting ahead of it as much as you can.
Is it more about preventing injury early or making sure that they're fresh?
Well, I love every spring, it seems like, or every year, someone comes up with something, they've reinvented the wheel, and they're going to have the only team that keeps pitchers healthy all year, and they've got some other program set up or some hire of someone that's going to keep everybody healthy and throwing 100, and then they're on the same DL train, okay? The bottom line is putting your arm over your head and jerking it down violently 100 times every fifth day, as I said 100 times, is not normal. Good Lord didn't intend us to do that with our shoulder and our arm, so there is going to be issues. And somehow we've magically ended up with this 5-day, whatever. It used to be 4 days. We conditioned ourselves mentally and physically for it, so, it's coming. And if you don't think it isn't, you're living in another la la land. There's going to be a challenge, or what ifs. Once again, what I was talking about, our sixth starter, our seventh starter, our eighth starter, our bullpen, long relievers. It's important. But the age part of it, everybody's got. Does that mean someone's going to be hurt because they're older? Sometimes it's the other way around.
Is there a lot of stuff that you have to do extra with Senga, like Jeremy does, just because of the adjustments?
Yeah, so far we've been real. A lot of it's you got to really keep in mind. I've had some Japanese pitchers, and it's different. Baseball's different. He was talking the other day. The dirt's different. Wind. A lot of their stadiums, they don't have a wind issue at all. We was talking about that and what it does with their baseball, with not only the size a little bit, but the grip. Everything over there is tacky, pre-tacked, which we should be doing. But so there'll be an adjustment period.
So he's just going to throw the same kind of bullpens everybody else is going to do?
No, not necessarily. One thing about him is you look at how much he's pitched and the time off in between, but he also had more work days and threw more. His work days are a lot longer than most people's under that plan where you got 2, sometimes 3 work days in between starts. So we can really shorten up a lot of his workload by the work days he has in between. Those are little things we're trying to adjust and get ahead of, but there'll be some adjustments. I know where his first start is going if he's ready to go physically out of camp. I already know where he's going to slot. So, I know where all 5 of them are right now if everything stays the same. So I said I'm happy about 7 days in a row we're playing without an off day.
But the only way you can get used to the dirt and the baseball and all those things is just by throwing, right? That just has to be a gradual process.
He knows exactly where the finish line is now, and I'm going to try to help him make it. But I know I've dealt like Koji Uehara we had in Baltimore. We had a split, whatever. I love how people have to come up with some name or something. But I know he spent a little time making some adjustments, but they all eventually figure it out. Whether it's I can give you a bunch of pictures that came over here with a split, and eventually they all got there. That's the encouraging part of it.
Have you ever had a team with so few competitions, controversies going? You talked about.
Well, there might be some competitions going on they don't know about. There's always something. I know. Talking to Billy this morning. There's always things out there that all of a sudden, we could do this, we could potentially do that. There's some different, but I know we've got some real competition down in the bullpen. and a couple other spots that, depends on how you look at it, John. Some people may not view it as such, but in the back of our mind, we know we have some different things we can pivot to. So there might actually be a competition. But on paper, I know exactly what you're saying. That someone might say competition's good, which it is, but it's also, knowing. I think players, such creatures of habit, love knowing. Hey, I'm one of the 5 starters, and here's when I'm pitching in the big leagues, and here's where my second start's supposed to come. Like, we can get almost 3 starts into letting them know in advance when they're pitching. That's unusual in baseball. And we're not going to have a weather issue, for 7 days. I like that. That's hard not to. It's hard in baseball to play 7 days in a row in April. Some people don't like it. They think it's unfair for us to play 7 days in a row. I think we're the only team. Playing 7 days in a row. I could be wrong. Check that out. Someone told me that, and I didn't ever check it. Huh?
I thought you were off that Friday.
At home.
In Miami.
In Miami.
4-game series.
Yeah, see, you had me thinking. I'm going, God, did I screw that up?
Testing you.
I've been double checking myself a lot lately. You guys, we played 79 games in our division. Now that we can talk about it, that didn't make any sense at all. 52. I'd like to. What would have happened? 6. That's 144 games. That ain't gonna happen.
It's a much better way to decide a division that way, though, isn't it? By playing your own division a lot more?
Not at all. We're doing that. We're still playing 52 times. You get to see the
Only 1/3.
Marlins as much as you want to see them in New York, huh?
Well, Marlins are a different case.
Why? I like a lot of things they've done very quietly. You see the move they made? Buck, pretty good addition. They've done a lot of things. Love a couple of things they've done. Manager there, Schumacher, right? We're working out at 5 o'clock that day.
Wednesday?
Anybody want to make plans beforehand? And we're not going over to that day.
Really?
We're going to spend every moment we can in St. Lucie.
Thanks.
Huh?
Thanks.
Golden Corral, one more night. What's that place, I don't want to mispronounce it, Chipotle? Right? Because I think I said something that was wrong. I think half our team was in there last night. You can order on your phone. Do you know that? I got one of the clubbies to do it for me. You just drive by and go. Sleep by 9 o'clock.
You get internet on the plane?
Really? Not on my plane. That plane we were on never worked, did it? Yours probably worked. What's new? Anything? Got 20 things. Complex. See what you can come up with.
We see all of them, or are they back there? Or are you...
Oh, that's true. They're back there. They're somewhere in the back, like
New field, 18 inches higher.
18 inches. That's 1.5 foot this place has sunk since they opened it up.
They built it on a swamp.
Was it? That's one of the places they're looking at sites for the building. I don't know where we're going to end up.
For the minor league?
Yeah, there's different sites they're looking at. Trying to partner. I know Steve's kind of led the charge as usual. Trying to first class everything. That building over there is our last real challenge, I think. We'll get it done.
So they want to build a building, different facility, different complex somewhere else in St. Lucie?
No. Get right here. Like it's right there. It'll be 200 yards to the right of it. It's the building that has to be upgraded. We've upgraded so many times. It's just we've kind of outgrown it. Like we did, very much like we did this place. This is nice. This is Nancy's first trip down here. St. Lucie. We'll see. We're done? My wife gave me this watch for Christmas. It just broke. Maybe I broke it. Who's it by anyway? Timex. Remember that company? Ow! How'd we do? Miss anything?
What's that?
How'd we do? Did we miss anything?